Hey everyone, and welcome to Comics from the Multiverse, the DC Comics podcast from Mail Fuzz TV. I am Peter, and I am joined, as always, by Matt.
Are you sure I'm me and just not Dark Me from the Dark Multiverse?
I don't know, I'll see how I feel after a few responses. Like, if you bite my head off
Oh,
more than a certain amount of times, maybe I'll consider you the dark version.
okay.
We have the light version of Connor here, which is to say that he's not here at all. So it seems much happier and better.
Oh, poor Connor.
Connor's
Yeah.
away doing things today.
Yeah, he does us some solids at a Comic Con, and we still can't help making fun of him.
Yeah, he's off making contacts. He's off
Yeah.
making deals with people and things, which could become relevant things that we talk about at some point. I don't know, but he's off doing work, and we're here to talk about comics. But I don't know. I feel like I'd rather be here talking about comics. It's some exciting
Well, it's
stuff
because
this week.
you're kinda antisocial. So like being in large groups definitely isn't your thing.
Oh yeah, I don't like large groups. Yeah, I'm antisocial. I'll give you that.
See what got me is my con that I went to. It was kind of disappointing this year outside of meeting Jason Fabic. Um, so I kind of rather have been recording at that point but up to that point I had no idea what to expect. So hopefully he's having a good time, and he talked to Latour for like 15 minutes about barbecue and food. So
As he does. Yeah. So we talk about DC Comics, which, by the way, we happen to be recording this on Batman Day, which is Matt's favourite holiday of the year.
but I still played nice, and I went to Twitter and put up my favorite Batman stories. I so wanted just to make them all Dick Grayson stories, but I couldn't.
Just to be a dick. No
Yeah.
pun intended.
No pun intended. But yeah, so I couldn't, because there's a lot of Batman stories I do like that are just classic, like The Long Halloween. That has nothing to do with Dick Grayson.
It's funny you bring that up, because that's what we're doing for the monthly episode next month.
Oh,
Because it's
yeah.
October, and,
Yeah, there you go.
But, no, so it's Batman Day, it's Batman's birthday. He's, what age is he? 77, I think? Because 75 was a couple of years ago.
Yeah, because he's a year younger than Superman, but
Yeah.
not quite a year, but
Close
9,
enough.
10 months.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Superman's 78, so yeah, about 77.
Of course you know that off the top of your head. Of course you do.
Come on. Yeah.
Ah, dear.
It wouldn't be me if I didn't.
So yeah, it's Batman Day. Happy Batman Day. And also Harley Quinn had her birthday, and she's overtaken Batman Day. All the free specials that are going out are all sort of Harley Quinn inspired.
Which I'm not adverse to, but it's like, come on, 25 versus 76. Like,
Well, yeah, but I think the point is that we're not going to celebrate her again next year because she's still so young.
Yeah.
It's just because 25 is kind of a staple
Yeah.
number. It's a landmark year, so we'll give her some spotlight. That said, if we're celebrating her 26th next year and we ignored Batgirl's 50th like last year, I'll start complaining then. That's when I'll have something to say about it.
Yeah.
But right now, whatever. There's no big deal. What are we talking about this week? We have books. We have, of course, the first of the one-shots for Metal. We have Batman the Red Death #1. We also have the next chapter in Gotham Resistance, which is Nightwing 29. And then on top of that, of course, are regular books of Batman 31, Superman 31, Green Arrow 31, Green Lanterns 31. I'm almost looking forward to Green Arrow going single shipping just to break up that sequence of 4 of the same number every time we get to one of these weeks. We also have Batwoman #7, Super Sons #8, and Aquaman #28. So that's what's coming up this week on the show. So, a little bits of news first, actually. Not much. There were solicits this week. In the interest of not bogging down the start of the show, I just cherry-picked a couple of things that I thought were a bit more interesting. All the big stuff was last week, because they always make a point of showcasing that before we get to solicits. I just want to point out a couple of things. I pulled out 2 part 1s that I thought sounded a bit more interesting than some of the other ones. Not that the other ones sounded bad. There's plenty of part 1s that were coming that sounded good. But, yeah. So, before we get to those, Aquaman #31, I thought this was notable that the artist was not Sejic anymore. Riccardo Federici is the artist on that issue. Sejic's still doing the cover art. I'm hoping this is just like a sort of one-issue fill-in thing, and then Sejic's going to be back on board for the next arc, but worth monitoring.
yeah.
That's all I'll say. So as far as the ones I did take note of the part ones, I noted down both Batman and the Flash, both not issues 36. Batman 36 starts an arc called Super Friends. It's only a two-part thing, but it's a Batman and Superman twofer. For so many of the years, they've fought together for justice. Sometimes they've even fought each other. Now, from the creators of Who Broke Your Heart and The Ballad of Kite Man, meaning that Clayman's doing the art for these two issues, which ain't bad, he's pretty good, comes a look at how the flaws of each other's frightens the other into the hope that inspires each other as well. I said that in a really weird way. But yeah, it's a two-part story, Batman and Superman. And I thought you'd like the title Super Friends, so I thought I'd pick it out for you.
It's always better when they're friends. I don't like them, it's different if it's in a story and there's some tension over philosophy. So the fact that they're showcasing it, especially after last year, it's good. It's a good direction to be headed.
What happened last year, Matt?
Batman versus Superman, the thing I don't like to talk about. As in the stupid title. It could be Batman / Superman. No, we had to make them fight.
Flash number 36 starts an arc called A Cold Day in Hell. And the cover for not this one, they don't have because sometimes they have the cover for just one of the two issues, but they had the next one. It's Captain Cold is on the cover, not surprisingly. But part one, when the Riddler, I cannot read today. What the hell is happening? When one of the Flash's rogues is murdered inside Iron Heights, Barry throws himself deep into the case, still reeling from the turmoil of his personal life. But when the clues begin to reveal an even greater conspiracy at work, the Flash soon discovers Iron Heights' deadliest secret.
I like that. Iron Heights doesn't get utilized enough anymore. It was huge in Johns' run.
It's been a while.
And yeah, so it's been kind of they reference it, and during the first Rebirth arc, we got to see it here and there. But now it's an actual place, kind of like Arkham, so it's always fun.
Yeah, it's been a while since they've used it heavily, so yeah, it'll be nice to actually have something that comes out of that place once in a while. Because the thing is, you can go years without doing an Arkham story, but it's always nice to come back to Arkham and do an Arkham-centric story. But no, so that's good. I just wanted to cherry pick those two because those both sounded kind of interesting, and mention the possible artist change on Aquaman. Might just be one issue though. So yeah, we'll get into the books. I see no reason in dilly-dallying.
Nope.
Matt's not a fan of dilly-dallying.
No, I'm not. I like the Flash that way. Let's move along. Actually, that could be my catchphrase. Just move along.
The Flash is always late though, so I don't know if that works.
Maybe no, I'm the opposite. I'm always early, and then people think I'm weird for being early, not late.
Maybe that shows the intent though. Maybe it's I want to keep moving along, but I'm usually the one responsible for not moving along. That oddly kind of works for you, actually.
Kind of.
Alright, so we'll start talking about this week's books. We will get started with Batman, the Red Death #1, Joshua Williamson writing, and Carmine di Giandomenico on art. So it's the Flash team, one of the Flash writers with the Flash writer with one of the Flash artists.
There you go. Man.
I don't know what's happening today.
You don't need another long nap?
This is the thing, I had the best night's sleep last night that I've had in weeks, and for some reason, I think it's actually made me worse because my body's not used to being this well rested. It's weird.
Yeah, your body's rebelling. It's no, treat me bad again. You have this weird S&M thing with your body. It
wants to be punished.
Yeah. Man.
The fanfic makes itself.
Speaking of punished, the Red Death.
The Red Death, indeed. This is the Flash version of Dark Batman. And we didn't know what these were going to be, really. I kind of assumed they were going to be origin stories for how these Dark Batmen came to be, but we didn't really know how or why or...
No, and from what my understanding was from Metal was that there was this dark multiverse. And that's where these Batmen were coming from, these Dark Knights, if you will. And here, from right at the get point, we start in the multiverse, and it's Earth 52. So that threw me for a loop at first, because, the first issue of Metal makes such a big deal of it being the underside of the map.
I think it's kind of Earth 52, and I'll get to what I mean by that. Because, so basically, what this issue sets up, and I love this issue, by the way, this was a great one-shot.
I disagree, but more on that later.
Oh my, okay, this is interesting.
Yeah.
I know, I was way into this issue for a bunch of reasons, but one of the things that I think this sets up that I actually really like is because I think up until now, like, okay, there's the idea of this dark multiverse. Okay, it's just another multiverse that's darker. Like that was basically the idea. But this issue kind of sets up the idea that the dark multiverse is kind of the classic idea of what a parallel universe is. You know that idea that like for every decision you make, the universe splits in two, and there's a universe where you
Right.
made the yes option, there's a universe where you made the no option.
Right.
The dark multiverse seems to be, at least from this issue, what I'm garnering is that so our heroes typically make the good choices, right? Because they're the heroes, they're Batman and Superman, they make the right choices. The dark multiverse is where they made the bad choice. And what we learn here is that those universes aren't made to last. Those Earths actually have like a timer on them because they're kind of the wrong choice. They're not the real one. So what's happening in this Earth is that it's starting to crumble. Like Batman's Gotham and his world's starting to like, it's crisis. It's red skies. Like it's coming for him. It's dying time. And he's in a desperate attempt to try and save everyone, so he's trying to steal the Flash's speed force so he has the speed to go around and stop everything and save everyone. Which is both very Batman and very not Batman at the same time. It's wonderful. And so I kind of like this idea that the Dark Multiverse is all the incorrect choices. So if it's all like... If the Dark Multiverse is all created from Batman's wrong choices, like, oh, this is what he did in all the wrong situations. And that's why the other characters, at least in this one that we see... it's still the Flash, it's still Barry. It's still this
Right.
Flash from, this Earth. But, so... No, I like that idea.
But if that's the case, then how would that impact Barry? If this is a world where they've made, or a multiverse where they've made all the wrong choices, is it just Bruce then that made all the wrong choices? Or did it affect Barry that way? Like, I need rules. If we're going to denote that this is a separate Earth, I need to know how it's different than our Earth besides just that Batman made all the wrong choices. You know?
Well, no. Not all the wrong choices. Every single Batman that we see, every dark Batman comes from a different Earth.
Right, but if this is a dark multiverse, this is what my big hang up on this one is. It opens and it says Earth 52, right? When we jump to the current DC one, it's Earth 0, which we know, right? That's from Grant Morrison's multiverse.
Yeah, but Matt, this Earth that this dark Batman comes from is not our regular Earth. It's from the Earth...
It's one of the multiverse. It's one of the 52.
Yes.
From Morrison's multiverse map, right?
Right.
So that means it's not part of the dark multiverse.
No, that's just what I'm saying. The Batman made the wrong choice in Earth 52, and it created the dark version of Earth 52.
Oh, man, see, this is where I don't like this stuff.
Why not? What's wrong with it?
Well, no, just because they set up, like, just like there's an antimatter universe, right? That's where we get Anti-Monitor from. That was what original Crisis was. And they destroyed the multiverse because he was... I forget exactly what Anti-Monitor... It's been a while since I've read Crisis. But I forget what his end goal was. But, they established as an antimatter universe there. Now they established as a dark multiverse. And I need more of that before they start throwing in the different multiverses. Because even as a continuity wonk like myself, it's a lot to take in.
Oh, and it is. I don't think you have to worry about understanding it all right away.
I don't know. I feel like I need to.
No, you don't. I think this is a personal problem for you, is that if you don't understand it after this one issue where it's brought up the idea, you feel like it's doing something wrong, and I don't think that's necessarily true. This is the first of what, like 6-7 one-shots doing all this stuff?
Yeah, but again, they're one-shots. They're not... They're serving the main story of Metal, and it's not gelling with what originally Metal has told us in these two issues.
How's it not gelling? What did Metal tell us that doesn't work with this?
So with the Dark Multiverse, so that means the Man Who Laughs, right? Is he coming from that underside?
Yeah.
And that's what's infecting everything. Then how is this so all the Batman, right? All the Bruce Waynes are supposed to be this portal for Barbatos. Correct?
All of them? I don't know if all of them are. I think it's just our one that's the portal.
Then what was it about the Earth Zero one that made it? Because this guy is Bruce Wayne. So why... It seems like this Bruce Wayne was much more primed to become the portal for Barbatos, right?
Which one? Hold on. What?
Earth 52.
Right.
Earth 52 Batman.
Earth 52
seem
Batman,
much more
right?
primed to be the host for, or the portal for Barbatos, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because it's a lot closer to the Dark Realm. So why did you need Earth Zeros? This is what I'm thinking as I'm reading, going, well, why, besides having a Dark Flash Batman, what does this serve the story?
Matt, you're thinking something I don't think anyone intended you to think, or I don't. I have no answer to the question because it never even popped into my head. I don't care.
But see, that's how I'm looking at it. Again, going through what they've set up. This is where my brain goes to as I'm reading, and I'm going.
But this is the thing. All they've set up that there's a dark multiverse. They didn't know anything more about it when Kendra explained it and talked about the dark multiverse.
Right, but we've gotten more from that since.
Okay,
in 2 issues.
Yeah, but what have we had that's contradicted this new information? That this is what creates the worlds in Dark Multiverse.
Well, we don't have any of that, but I'm saying, why is Earth Zero Batman the portal when Earth 52 Batman could have been? Like, so when I heard about these Dark Knights, I assume they're coming from the Dark Multiverse.
They are coming from the Dark Multiverse.
But Earth 52 is part of the multiverse. It's not part of the Dark Multiverse.
Maybe they aren't coming from the Dark Multiverse then. Maybe that's just an assumption on our part that's not right.
Right, so I could have been a little bit more clear on that, because where did the Man Who Laughs come from then? Is he the only Dark Multiverse Batman?
I have a theory in this. Matt, honestly, okay. I think you're getting wound up over things you don't know that they might still be getting to. And that feels really weird to me.
I hope that's the case.
I think you're jumping the gun on things that they've not got to yet. And some of it they might not, but
when it comes to the Flash and multiverses, you kind of want that story that's going to be a little bit more definitive versus leaving all the stuff hanging. At least for me, because he's the one hero that's so tied, even through the rest of pop culture, like the Flash TV show. He deals with the multiverse almost, well, not more than the Legends of Tomorrow, but because that's the whole point of that show. But like, it's through him that we found out all of these, and he's the original hero that died in the Crisis on Infinite Earths.
Here's the thing, Matt. I'm not necessarily convinced it actually is Earth 52 that's in this book. I think it's the dark version of Earth 52 that's in this book because it's getting destroyed, and they say in the book. They say in the book that the dark universes, the dark Earths get destroyed because they're not meant to last. So it's clearly telling us that this is a dark multiverse place, not actually Earth 52, right?
Then they should have done a better job at differentiating. Because when I heard Earth 52, and they've given us the multiverse map, that is where my brain's going, is to Earth 52 in the multiverse, not dark multiverse Earth 52.
Well, no, but I think the point is that it comes from Earth 52. Like Earth starts at Earth 52, but then a choice was made that created the splinter, and it went to the dark place.
This is why I don't get into quantum mechanics. This is why I stayed away from Hickman stuff.
Do you know what bugs me about this? Is that I never even thought any of this was a problem while reading it, and then you come with me with all these bullshit questions that I cannot explain.
It's not bullshit. This isn't me thinking about it. Oh wait, this is my initial. This is my first read this week, right? Wednesday pops in. This is the first thing I read. It's Josh Williamson, who I love. There hasn't been anything from Williamson that I've read I haven't enjoyed. All right, so big stakes here. And then I read this, and to be honest, I don't enjoy his take on Batman. I didn't like that image of Batman with all of the rogues stuff. I didn't like the Batmobile cosmic treadmill. I was like, it was just too much. And they're setting it with 52. Hold on. They're setting it in Earth 52, so this is supposed to be a heroic. Like, so this is all I'm reading is like, oh, this is just the Batman who snapped. And now, because he's Batman, he does everything better than the Flash's rogues and even the Flash himself. Because he's willing to take that step. And I'm just like, There are parts I did enjoy. I do enjoy Barry, because again, Williamson gets Barry. And as they conjoin at the end of the thing, the end of the issue, I'm sorry, the end of the thing.
Don't move on. You've moved on to the next thing without letting me rebut anything you just said. Right, hold on.
Go ahead.
Right, hold on. I don't know, I've forgotten what you said now, because you kept going.
It's called the shotgun method, Pete.
You need to pause and let me actually respond to your first statements.
Okay, so the first statement. I didn't enjoy Williamson's take on Batman.
Okay, right. Relatively fair to a point, right? You don't like the Batmobile cosmic treadmill
No.
combination, right? Fine, right? If you don't like that concept, then fine. I can't, yeah, whatever. It was over the top. I don't have a problem with it, but I especially loved the page of when he actually, hits breaking point and it's all those panels on the slant and they're getting into the light, but before they fuse, good stuff.
Yeah.
But as for the characterization being off, that's kind of the point. This is Batman post the change.
Not not the characterization being the change, because we get why he's on dark. And this is my own bias. I hate the concept that all Batman has to do is make a decision and he can do it. So there's no struggle there. There's no struggle with him taking out the rogues one by one. These are villains that Barry's dealt with his entire career.
Well, hold on a second. Hold on,
Matt.
You're making a lot of assumptions here. You're making a shit ton of assumptions here, Matt.
I'm going with what they've given us in the issue.
Matt, we've not seen how he took out the rogues. We're not even seeing that he took them out at all. Does it even say he did that?
Yeah, go back and read it. I reread it this morning.
Okay, sure. So even if it says
he says that he did what the Flash was unable to do because he's Batman.
All right, fair enough. But we don't see how he did it. We don't see how long it took him. We don't see what his methods are. Like, it just, I don't know. Like,
the surprise of Barry, though, as this is going on, seems like it's happened pretty quick. Because if this is something that Batman's been doing, especially with the Flash and how close he is with the rogues, he would have picked up on something. He is a police scientist. Like, that was the whole point of the button.
This is conjecture to me, Matt. I'm sorry. I'm not getting any of this. This feels like, for some reason, some of this has rubbed you the wrong way, right? And some of it I get, but it feels like you're looking for, I don't know, like, the book's not about that, though. It's just kind of the setup. It's just saying, this has happened. This is where we're jumping into this world we've not been in. Here's what's happening right now. Here's the status quo. This is right at the end.
This is where every single one of these are going to be going. That it's an army of Batmen that do things, and they were able to achieve all these things simply because they're just giving us the origin. And, like, that's not interesting to me as a comic reader. Like, I'm looking more forward to, like, the Aquaman one, was at the Drowned, because that's a woman character. Like, that really can't be Bruce Wayne. So
of course not.
I'm open there. The fact that this was Bruce Wayne and the Flash and everything was very familiar, I didn't enjoy it.
I loved it. That was a great one shot.
Yeah.
This was great.
There were things I liked in there. I liked when he gets.
Sorry, I was gonna say, I love all the big cosmic stuff. I love seeing all the Earths and the multiverse. I love the talk of the dark multiverse. Of course, where it goes, once they actually fuse together, we go to this world's Gotham, and it is the red skies. The planet is getting destroyed. It's crumbling, and that's when Batman Who Laughs shows up and says, "Hey, this world wasn't built to last. But what if I told you there was a world on the upside? If this is the upside down, to borrow a phrase from Stranger Things."
Right.
Yeah, there's a world up there that you can take and it can be yours, and that's where we lead to sort of the final chunk of the book, because it's kind of split into thirds. It's kind of like the Batman Flash merger, and then it's him taking care of Gotham, taking out a Scarecrow who's there, and then it's he's in our world and he goes to Central City. Which, now, it's worth mentioning that once they've merged, Flash is still in there. Like, as we're getting the narration, we can see Flash's thoughts kind of trying to break through, and he's not quite getting there. There's one small moment where it's like Batman or Red Death Batman kind of his attention breaks a little bit. Like, you can see that he's actually hearing him a little, but otherwise he's trying to break through. But so Barry's witnessing all this. Barry from this Earth is seeing all this awful things happening. Everything that Red Death is doing, he is witnessing to. But he goes into Central City and he runs into Iris and Wally, and Wally goes all old that we saw Superman and Wonder Woman doing in Metal Issue 2, and then our Barry shows up to try and fight Red Death, and he starts to go old. He can't run, and so on and so on. And that's where we get this little sort of this out of nowhere surprise where it looks like Dr. Fate pulls him out of harm's way right before.
It's definitely Dr. Fate based on the Ankh. Yeah. Which is cool because we know that they'll be playing in. We saw that in Metal 2. Because they're affected because his whole helm is made from nth metal.
Yeah, and we saw obviously we were teased him back in one of the prelude issues I don't know which one it was. It was the Forge or the Casting, but one of those two had fate mentioned in it. Also, I love the effect that when Red Death runs, it's like little bats that are around him.
Right.
It's a Speed Force. I thought it was a really cool idea. That was a really interesting effect.
The poetry of Earth 52 when Barry gets taken out with the Victor Freeze stuff. It's because of his compassion, and then when that flips and the Red Death has Barry, Barry tells him it's because of it can't be Bruce because of Bruce's compassion. So I thought that was a nice moment.
Yeah, no, it's
and the art though, the art is fantastic. Like,
that was great.
But that's Giandomenico. Like, I just expect it anymore. We're kind of spoiled on Flash by him, and I don't know people that don't like him and it doesn't gel with me. They think that it's too sketchy, and not like sketchy bad, but like too of that sketched out style.
I mean, it's a taste thing. Like, some people they won't like his style, and that's fine.
I much prefer his sketchy style to like a clean Brett Booth style. Like.
I mean,
any day of the week.
We pretty much are all in agreement. We hate JR, but some people love his art. So
I don't get it.
So art is relatively subjective in terms of I mean, all art's relatively subjective, but drawing especially can be very just down to taste. And I love the way the Red Skies world looks. This dark Earth 52. Gotham's crumbling.
That first page was a nice little prelude too. I really liked that first page.
At the end as well, you see the Red Death bat like sort of signal in the sky. You see all these Earths crumbling, and you have Batman Who Laughs narrating at the end again, and he's talking about how it just takes one bad day, but if it just takes one bad day to kill a world, what about one bad week? That could kill a multiverse. Now, first of all, that's a nice sort of tease, because this is the first one. It's hyping up the how severe this could get throughout the story. I like that it's not taking itself too seriously, and it is doing these big wacky things like cosmic treadmill Batmobiles and whatnot. But I want to pinpoint. Matt's shaking his head at me for the audio people. He's really not impressed. But one thing I want to point out here, I've got a little guess I want to throw in the ring here about the origin of the Batman Who Laughs.
Yes, please go. I'm looking for that page, so I'm not trying to be distracted.
It's the last
page. I'm looking for that. Not that page.
Oh,
there's another page where the man who laughs had said something. So go ahead. Cool. I'm looking for this.
I think it's a double page spread you're looking for in the middle.
No. It's at the end of the first page where he says it's all one big cosmic joke, except no one on this side is laughing. So I feel like that the whole dark multiverse isn't what it seems there. But go on with the man who laughs. So I think the man who laughs, as just a guess, it's based on that one bad day line, because if I remember correctly, there's a line like that in The Killing Joke. Yep.
I think the Batman Who Laughs is the Batman from The Killing Joke that made the choice at the end to kill the Joker. Now, that could be completely...
I could see that. Yeah. So, we got to look at that. Morrison was kind of the one that put that out there. I think that's how he'd always read the Killing Joke, and he pointed it out on Kevin Smith's podcast because of the way that the light goes, right? And the light goes out. And Alan Moore was, such a great writer that nothing happens just because. Like, there's purpose behind everything. And that was always meant to be an Elseworld story until they made Barbara Gordon, in the wheelchair and made her Oracle.
Yeah, so we couldn't have that ending if it's in continuity.
Exactly. So the fact, I could see that Snyder is playing with that idea. It is just that one bad day.
Yeah, because given what I've just said, or what we were talking about with the book saying that the dark multiverse is just it's worlds created from the bad choices that certain characters make, and they don't last for long. And that's why this Batman Who Laughs is recruiting all these people. It's no one's laughing on this side because we're not made to last. And so the idea that the main one, the worst of the worst, the one who's recruiting the rest of them, is the Batman who made his choice to break the rule and kill the Joker. That's the one who's at the centre of it all. That idea fascinates me. I think that's a great choice. And when he says that the choice to kill the multiverse, I feel that that's the joke, is he's bringing death and destruction to the multiverse. So now, through conversation, if that is Earth 52 and that's the beachhead of the assault, if this was the first, then he's bringing that darkness to Earth 52 because it was already primed for darkness. Maybe. Right?
All right, so that can make it a little bit better. There's a lot that I didn't like, but that solves my storyline dark multiverse. When we start getting into these big things, it's kind of why I tend to stay away from Morrison's other stuff and his more grounded stuff I enjoy, because we start getting into split universes and like my limit is on 52.
It's just fun to theorize for me, and if we're going with this idea that the core Batman. The Batman Who Laughs is like the worst of the worst because he's the one who made the choice to kill. So the idea that we're taking that famous Batman story and the one who made the bat... Because what I love about it is it doesn't devalue our versions of our heroes, because the idea is that our heroes made all the right choices. They are who they are because of those choices. But because of the way this Dark Multiverse works is that every time they've made one of those right choices, there's a temporary universe where they didn't make that right choice.
Right.
But it's not the real one, which is why it's destined to die. And... the idea that those bad versions want to fight back because they don't want to be erased. I think that's a pretty cool idea. But
yeah, no, that is a cool idea. And I like that. I'm looking through the Earths, and if they're going to do this for each one, or is the murder machine going to be its own thing? Like they're going to set up a different form as it is.
Like I say, I think because he's recruiting people who are going to be erased and he's using that as a motivation, I think it's the dark version of those Earths. It's not the regular versions, as it were.
Mm-hmm. Have they not put Earth 52? Have they just put Dark Multiverse?
Actually,
I don't think it would have been a problem for me.
To get to the point, actually, I don't... You said it's just Batman making the bad choices. I don't think it is. I think that this dark version of Earth 52, I think... someone made a bad choice. It could have been anyone on the planet, and that resulted in this version of the Earth. Right? No, wait, keep up. So this alternate version, this dark version of the Earth was created because someone made a bad choice. And because it's the bad multiverse, the bad Earth, right? It's the one that's destined to die. That's why it's dying, and that's why Batman's going to some extreme lengths to save it. And that's when, Batman Who Laughs shows up and is like, oh, this world was destined to die. You can never save it because this is the wrong version. So I don't actually think it's Batman himself who has to make the wrong choices. I think it could be anyone.
But we see him standing over the 4 graves, so we can assume are the 4 Robins.
Oh,
and
sure.
Alfred's walking away with a cane, so there's been some time. If you look at that art, so that's why, yeah.
Yeah, but I mean that could just be this Earth's history rather than specifically because it's Dark Multiverse. I don't know.
Yeah. I doubt we'll get into that minutia in Metal. So, hopefully we get to that.
I am surprised you're so down in this. I thought this was, I was way into this.
Well, again, I was expecting, because I love Williamson. He's one of my favorite writers at DC, and throughout his indie work, there hasn't been anything of his that I haven't enjoyed. So, from Nailbiter to Birthright, and he even did a Haunted Mansion miniseries that definitely geared more towards kids because it's a Disney line, but he did his homework, and as a big Disney fan like I am, it was cool to see all that stuff play out. So I had really high expectations for this, more so than like if I go into the Superman one, the Devastator, or even Murder Machine, and it just high expectations and didn't quite deliver. And I hear all these people like, yeah, it was so cool, and I was just like, was it? Like, it gave me the shudders.
Well, I liked it a lot. I liked the art. I liked the foreboding sense of doom. I liked the big ideas it was playing with. And yeah, I don't think it's insanely clear right now, but I think there will be an element of this that ties through all the one-shots, because you have the Batman Who Laughs opening and closing with the narration. Mm-hmm. I feel like he'll probably do that for all the books, and that'll give us some sort of overall kind of, just sort of bridging kind of, not story, but just maybe tie more information into what's going on a little bit by piece as we go.
Yeah.
And then, on top of that, main issues of the event.
But between the stuff that we got in Teen Titans last week with the Batman Who Laughs and the Nightwing this week and now this, he's looking to be like one of the creepiest characters I think ever created for DC Comics.
Yeah, he could end up being one of the iconic villains that we talk about, years from now, like the Batman Who Laughs. Like that could end up being a really big thing. Mm-hmm. They're building him up right. They're really put, proper build. I'll say that. So no, again, I'll just echo the sentiments about the art, and like I say, that page where it's almost like a wall of TV screens, but it's also an angle as it's going into the bright light and it's fading away, and Barry's pleading with Bruce to there's always hope, Bruce. There's always hope, but in this world there is no hope because it's the dark multiverse, and so I don't know. I think that's interesting ideas, interesting stuff. But yeah, so we'll move on. Sticking with metal though, we have the crossover. Second part of the crossover, Gotham Resistance. Nightwing number 29, Tim Seeley writing, Paul Pelletier on art.
Pelletier.
Yeah, I can't read today. So this is the second part of Gotham Resistance. This is Robin, Green Arrow, Nightwing, Croc and Harley in the second ring of the big sort of maze leading to the mountain. This is the Mr. Freeze controlled zone, and they run into Nightwing, who wasn't in the previous area, and he's got his thermal Nightwing suit on that Batman made for him, and they're dealing with ice monsters and all sorts of shenanigans, and Harley's looking at Nightwing's butt, and she's enjoying the view, and
it's almost that's how she knows it's him, because of that.
Possibly. Very possibly.
I like Harley in small doses like this. When she's not the main focus, I think she's fine. I don't know if that's my own type of bias, but I guess Deadpool's the same way though. Like if you start making him the focus of everything, he loses what makes him special.
Yeah, better in a team book.
But
better as a team ensemble.
Well, her with Croc, I think, is a fun pairing. You know, it's like an alternate Beauty and the Beast kind of deal. Except they're not in love, and they're both kind of monstrous, but you know.
Yeah. So the big thing here is they end up finding this arsenal from the Court of Owls that's there, and like Nightwing starts like all this theorizing because the Court of Owls once wanted him to be a Talon and all the rest of it, and he's like worried, like, if Batman's the doorway, am I like connected to this as well? Am I intended to be the weapon, kind of thing? And there's some fun big moments. Mr. Freeze with his big sword and his ice monsters. Because again, the Batman Who Laughs is giving each of the villains like extra power. He's giving them these cards that let them manipulate reality and create things.
Which I think is fun because it gives us a peek at what's in Mr. Freeze's brain. Like he decided to make this frozen wasteland with ice monsters and like barbarian weapons. I was like, was that dude a D&D player before? Like,
it's funny you mentioned D&D because there's a D&D reference in this book.
Yeah.
Because the first big ice monster they're fighting, they lure it onto the railway track, and the train takes it out, and Harley shouts out, "You rolled a natural 20!"
Natural 20.
And Oliver's like, "I'm going to pretend I didn't get that reference."
Yeah.
You did, you big nerd. You did.
Yeah, exactly. Well, he is. Ollie's the ultimate nerd that made good, and he wants to forget all about that because he was Mr. Rich Playboy, but when he was by himself in Queen Manor, he was dungeon mastering for nobody. He was just making stories.
Probably. Because if anyone who doesn't know, a natural 20 in Dungeons and Dragons with a dice is a critical hit. Just for the record, just in case anyone doesn't know.
Well, and it's so you have a 20-sided die, and from that, with your abilities of your character, let's say you roll a 10, but you have an automatic +8 on that ability, you turn that 10 into an 18. But if you roll a natural 20, that's on the 20-sided die, that's just right there. That solves all your problems.
That's a crit, yeah. So, that's what because like, if you have 15, but you've got a modifier of +5, and that makes 20, I mean, it gives you a value of 20, but it's not a crit.
Yeah. No.
Exactly. So natural 20 is your crit. I didn't intend to explain that as in depth as we did, but yeah.
Yeah, it's fun. As someone that's always read comics, but in the last couple of years got into role-playing games through friends at my comic shop. They really go hand in hand sometimes. So I'm glad that through like Stranger Things and I'm trying to think some of the other 80s stuff that's come out, that Dungeons and Dragons has kind of had this renaissance.
Yeah, I'd love to get into role-playing games, but time's a factor, of course, but also
time's a major factor.
You need a group as well. You really need like people who know what they're doing to like usher you into it and kind of guide you and whatnot. So we actually cut back as well to the Teen Titans, who are still fighting on the sort of outer rim of the sort of the circles, and the rest of the Suicide Squad show up, and they end up having a bit of banter. And I appreciated when Raven calls Enchantress her Elder Goth. I thought that was a cute little line. But obviously all the demon zombie Robins attack, and they all start flying, and they're all shouting crow, crow, crow. And I love Beast Boy's like, "Oh, it's my worst nightmare, an army of Robins."
Yeah. Yeah, I'm glad because we knew that this is all a crossover tie-in. I'm glad that they didn't forget about the Titans in the Nightwing issue.
Honestly, I thought they might. I thought
So did I.
when Robin left them behind in Teen Titans, I thought we might never see them again.
Yep.
No, in the crossover,
Insane.
not forever, but
Yeah, well, of course.
yeah.
Although, I mean, the way this ends, not good for the Titans nor the squad.
No, not for now, no. But it should lead to an interesting showdown come the fourth
Yeah.
part of this book, because we end with this
Yeah.
big cliffhanger that the leader of the Robins, presumably the Damien, although we're kind of guessing that, but because they all look kind of similar, to be honest. But
They all look similar, but at the same time, he's dressed a little bit differently, and he has some of Damien's mannerisms. So, like, if the Batman who laughs actually had a son, this is probably along those lines, because the costume is very similar to the Batman who laughs versus the other Robins.
yeah. So it sets up that, and so all of the Teen Titans who were left behind, and the Suicide Squad, they've all been taken over and are now like zombie army drones for the Robins, the Dark Robins. So the other thing, of course, is that Dick is somewhat connected because the cut on his head that he got from
Dr. Hurt.
Dr. Hurt, that's reappeared ever since the he mentions ever since we left the Justice League in the forest in the jungle, and it's been like acting up and giving him like pain, and like he's been seeing visions of things. And he actually, towards the end of the issue, he gets visions of what happened in Metal issue 2, stuff that he wasn't there for when Batman disappeared and Superman and Wonder Woman got attacked. And I do like the idea that he's so close to Batman that he's also important in this. Like, he is like the next one in that line of succession. Like, he is a factor in this. So that's pretty cool. But it's setting up that he does have a connection to stuff. But yeah, so we have a big cliffhanger, the Titans. So you enjoyed the last part of this crossover, did you? Like this one?
Oh yeah, I definitely enjoyed this one. This was a lot of fun with all the stuff that tied Dick back to the Snyder run with him being a prospective Talon, and because he had the Electrum in his teeth that Batman knocks out.
Yeah,
and
I like that they actually reference the whole Circles of Hell thing. Like, you know, Oliver even brings it up. Mr. Freeze brings it up as well. Because Mr. Freeze, and at the bottom there's a lake of ice, and that's when he comes out with his big ice sword and ice monsters. Oh. So
and we get all of the heroes wielding like barbarian weapons, which is always a cool visual for me.
Oh yeah, Harley's very excited to get all these like nth metal and whatever, you know, maybe it's not all nth, maybe it's the different types of metal that we're talking about, but they come out wielding, like, she's got a big metal hammer, and you know, the others have got, you know, metal crossbow or arch, bow.
A bow.
Not crossbow.
It's a regular bow.
Yeah, you know what I meant.
I gotcha. And I like the tie back to Dr. Hurt because it feels like, you know, because Seeley wrote this one, so he wrote that. It's an easy bridge. And I like that it feels like that had more of a purpose than just him and Sean. I don't call her the Facer, but I don't call her by her regular name. Because it showed him his potential in things that could go wrong. And here, it set him up to kind of be not a mirror, but like I don't want to say a monitor either because it's too cheesy, but you know what I mean. Like he's getting information that he shouldn't have because of that.
Yeah, maybe they didn't expect, like, no one expects him to get these images, but he is because he was cut by that knife. Yeah, that's right. An interesting idea. The one final thing I want to mention, actually, before we talk a little bit about the art, I suppose, but the final thing story-wise I want to mention is I did get the feels when, you know, Robin's like, we should look for Batman. Dick's like, hey, we've been in this position before when he's been missing, and it's been me and you. And you know what? We got to him in the end, and he gives him a hug. And I was like, oh, man. The feels. Referencing their time as Batman and Robin always hits for me. So I was into it. I think basically what this crossover is doing is it's the fun action movie. Very simple compared to, you know, Metal's pretty out there. The one shots, at least from that first one we just did, seems to be, you know, balls to the walls out there, big concepts. Whereas this is like, no. We're going through video game levels that are all different themed. Yeah. Like we had the Ice one, we had the Riddler Maze one, and we're getting to the center. We're getting to the final boss. And
I'm a little disappointed though that the Ivy one takes place in Suicide Squad, because
it means Rob Williams is writing it.
Yeah. I mean, not there's anything wrong. I'm gonna pick it up anyways because I'm a completionist and
Well, yeah,
I
and also
don't
this
like
is,
having money.
and also
Like,
you couldn't skip it anyway. Like this is a following
no,
on story. Like
yeah, but I just wish that maybe it was in part four. That was the Ivy issue instead of part three. But what you gonna
who's
do?
the fourth one? Is it Bane?
Yeah,
Yeah, okay. I remember Bane from the last issue. I was just wondering if it was him that was in the final one. All right, that's cool. So no, this is the fun part of the crossover. Whereas, I mean, they're all fun. Actually, I think I want to compliment Metal in general for as big and crazy and as dark as because it is a very dark kind of foreboding kind of tone. It's never
yeah.
really lost the sense that they're just having kind of fun with it. Like it's like, yeah, it's dark, but don't take it too seriously. We're having a blast.
Real quick, I want to amend what I said about Suicide Squad because yeah, it might be Rob Williams, but you know who's doing the art?
Oh, who's doing the art?
How do you pronounce it from Aquaman? Sejic?
Sejic. Just say Sejic.
Sejic.
Okay,
So,
well, it's going to be a beautiful
and that,
book anyway.
I just pulled up that cover, and I'm pretty much in love with this Poison Ivy. So,
Okay. Yeah.
and it's gonna, it'll probably be Harley centric, considering.
For the record, just in case you're curious, Matt, I mean, not that I think you've got a depraved mind or anything, but I know Cedric has done some not suitable for work pin-ups of some of these characters.
Yep.
If you wanted to go and seek those out,
I know how to work Google. I've seen them.
I was just making sure. All right.
I mean, if you can tell behind me, I have a Ivy pinup from not a local artist, but he's at every con, right behind me over here. So, I seek that stuff out. But yeah, this cover is pretty glorious.
Speaking of art, just to wrap up Nightwing here, I thought the art was fine. Like it didn't bother me. I don't think it was as nice as the Teen Titans from last week though. Because it's the same story. I noticed that this felt just a bit simpler, a bit more kind of basic compared to it.
That cover though, is pretty dope.
Cover's nice. Was the cover the same artist though?
No, I'm looking it up right now. No, it was Sejic that was the cover because we went over that last week.
Oh, sure, yeah. Of course, that's why it's a fantastic cover. There you go.
Yeah.
There's your answer.
But I like Pelletier a lot. He has that basic comic book.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
A lot of people call it a house style. I don't use that as as what's the word when it's for bad? Pejorative. I don't. I loved his work on Aquaman.
I don't.
In New 52.
Yeah, I don't dislike him. It's just that when he comes in to replace another artist that I like more, it does feel like a step down because it is kind of straightforward. I guess is the phrase I'd use. Whereas Sejic has a look, it's just a style. I don't know who did the art last week on Titans. I can't remember, but there was just a bit more of a style to it. Whereas here it was like, it's just, but it was fine. Like, it was cool. So let's move on then. Let's move on to, speaking of good art, Batman 31.
Yeah.
Tom King, Mikel Janin on the art. So this is the next part of the War Jokes and Riddles. We've come back in after our second Kite Man interlude, which comes into play. Hell yeah, of course. And basically this one, we get a little scene at the start with the Joker kind of tricking someone into... Like he basically says, you'll always remember me, and he makes him promise, like, even in a day, even in a second, and then he says a knock-knock joke, and when he says who, but you said you'd remember me, Blade. Like, dark as shit. Great, love it. But most of the issue then is all kind of around the one thing. It's like, okay, we know where the Joker is thanks to Kite Man from his issue. We need to get in, but there's a bomb wire to go off if anyone gets into the building. So Batman set Catwoman, still loves Janin, drawing her in that costume, that classic outfit.
The classic purple.
Fantastic. And Joker sees her, shoots at her, and she falls, and there's this big dramatic moment. And I like that it cuts to present day because Batman's like, yeah, I'm sorry I did that. I put you in danger. And then she cracks a little innuendo about, oh, don't ever apologise for any position you put me in, Bruce.
I like that there's some levity because the story's been pretty heavy.
Oh, it is. Although this one's actually probably the most uplifting one we've had since it started because...
See what you did there with uplifting.
There you go. Because it had some kind of uplifting payoff to like some of the darker stuff. Because last issue we talked a lot about Kite Man giving himself over to Riddler, even though Riddler killed his son. Like that is really dark and depressing. And Batman having to live with it, he's letting this happen.
Yep.
But it turns out, like, because Riddler's actually like questioning Batman's like, oh, I'm not leaving you alone with Joker. You've got plans within plans. I know how to outthink you. And it's like, okay, right, so the glass isn't triggered to go off the bomb, so we're going to go in. And it's like, we got Kite Man And Batman, the sly bugger, he's playing like he doesn't want to. He's like, oh, this is a bad idea. He makes Riddler be the one that's. It sounds like he's the one who wants to do it. So they all go in kites. There's some comedy with Croc not being able to, he's too heavy for the kite. Yeah. So we get that big, great double-page spread of all these characters flying in kites. It's
Riddler's crew. So it's Clayface and Poison Ivy
and Croc and
Two-Face. Yeah.
Firefly's there. Although Firefly doesn't need a kite because he's Firefly. He can fly anyway. He's good.
He's got his wings, jetpack.
I don't think I was expecting a 2-page spread of all these characters flying in kites.
No. But, pretty cool.
Yeah, I was not expecting that. But they get in, Riddler cracks some lines, he beats up Joker, and it's like, okay, now we've kind of solved this, and lo and behold, Riddler decides to turn on Batman. He was planning this all along. All of his goonies are all there. They all turn around, they're pointing their guns at Batman, and that's when he realised, plan within a plan. Kite Man developed all those kites, and he modified Firefly's pack there, hit the button, and they all have parachutes that all go out the window, and it drags them all out of the building. It's fantastic. This is a great moment.
It's basically what Batman did to the Hong Kong banker.
And Dark Knight, yeah, kind of.
In The Dark Knight, for the quick evac shoot. And that was really cool. And I like that Riddler basically waited, and he was going to do this in front of Joker, just as an extra dig. He's like, yeah, that's right, I won. I even took down Batman.
Yeah.
And I'm like, did you?
It's great character stuff. And the best part about it, though, is that afterwards, Riddler's like, he can't believe that Kite Man led to this, like, him failing.
Yep.
And he's like, Kite Man? And he's like, Kite Man, hell yeah. And obviously, Riddler punches before he can finish it. But this, compared to last issue, when the hell yeah was so deflated and it was so in your face, Kite Man, the fact
that a smirk.
Kite Man getting this win, like, you took my son from me, I took your war from you. Screw you. It's such a fist pumping hell yeah moment. Literally hell yeah.
So remind me, Rooftops is set before all this?
Yeah, this is like, I think this is the ideas here. This is them in bed after the proposal, and he's telling this story to.
Well, no, Rooftops was the Bat and Cat stuff. That's where that was introduced, and that's where the Kite Man Hellman came from.
Oh, that's right.
So is Kite Man still a joke? Is that present day or is that before? Is that one of their first adventures?
Oh no, Kite Man's present day because they had their current costumes in that story.
Did they?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so he's still kind of a joke, but he still helped Batman save the day.
I think that's why because he says that's the end of Kite Man, like when he gets punched, but I think he just means that's the end of Kite Man in this story. Like, he's played his part here.
Well, they kind of set him up to be kind of this anti-hero. Like, they had a miniseries. Like, if Tom King had time, which we know he doesn't between Batman and Mr. Miracle, to do like a Kite Man mini.
Hey, maybe
I could kind of see it.
Maybe after Mr. Miracle's done, he'll do a Kite Man.
Yeah.
Kite Man run. Man.
Yeah, it was a really good moment.
How much do we care about Kite Man now, thanks to Tom King? This is insane.
I almost feel like he added that hell yeah when that Kite Man hell yeah became kind of like this meme. Like he adapted the story around Kite Man, unless that was his goal from the beginning, which I don't doubt.
Yeah, I mean, could have been.
Because Kite Man hell yeah has become like this thing, and it's throughout comics right now. I think most people reading comics are now a fan of Kite Man. Like they're reading this book. It's crazy. It's kind of what Bendis did with some of those Daredevil villains.
Do you know what I love about it? It's kind of like it's almost like a sort of like a self-esteem boost. It's like, he's this goofy villain who's got a stupid name, but he embraces it and loves who he is. It's very empowering in a really weird way. It's kind of cool.
It is.
So fair play to him. Mr. King, you've done it again. So we end the issue with Batman, Joker, and Riddler in the room on their own. He's finally got them both together, and this is where he sort of says to Catwoman in present day, right, this is where the thing goes down. The thing that you need to know about me before you make the choice, and whether you can forgive me. It's like, okay, right. So some of the obvious things we thought, I feel like have been ruled out now because he's kind of like ended the war almost. Yeah. He's in the room. Yeah. I'm not sure where it's going, but I'm excited. We got one more issue of this.
Yeah.
Let's see.
Between this issue and the dinner issue, I almost want to take back every bad thing I said during I Am Suicide. Still not a big fan of that story, but like, I said stuff like King really doesn't understand Batman. No, he does. Like, it was just, it's taken me however many issues this is.
I can't wait until we get to the last metal one shot and you have to go back and retcon your opinions of Red Death.
Oh no, wait, because I did some reading as we were talking, and I found something out that I read incorrectly. So I'm waiting until the end of.
Oh, okay. Right, okay.
Of the show. Yeah.
But you'll bring it up. I'm going to remind you.
I will.
I want to know.
Don't forget Red Death, because it doesn't change the things that annoyed me, but it does change how I read the story, which makes me like it that much more.
Okay.
So
okay. I'm curious.
We'll get on that before the 5.
But Batman, fantastic issue again.
Yes.
Janin, not Janin. Well, Janin as well, but King for me.
Yeah.
Like, I enjoyed his first Batman arc. It wasn't amazing, but I thought it was strong stuff for the most part. Then I loved I Am Suicide. I mean, admittedly, largely heightened by the art, because that's when Janin first came in.
Janin.
And then we all loved I Am Bane. Like, we were really impressed with most of that. Outside of that one bullshit cliffhanger with the Robins, that was the only thing in that entire arc that bothered us. And then, I've loved the Catwoman interludes, and that issue where he actually asked her to marry him, when he's up with Gotham Girl at the top of that tower in broad daylight. That was beautiful stuff. And this is becoming a fantastic run, and it doesn't seem like it's got an end in sight either, which is great. Keep going. Go as long as you want, Tom. It's fine.
Yeah.
Keep going. So, no, good stuff. Good stuff. So that'll take us on to Superman number 31, written by James Bonny and art by Tyler Kirkham. So this was originally meant to be Tomasi's issue back, but then that got pushed a couple of issues. So now we have.
What is he working on?
Well, that's Super Sons crossover in December. That's probably what he's.
Yeah, but is it taking that much time? He's taking.
I don't know.
2 months off, because these are both. We had the last one that was the Parallax story.
Yeah, that was 2 issues. Then this is 2 issues.
And now this one.
I think it's 2 issues. Seems like 2 issues, but we'll
Although, this being in a Superman issue is kind of weird, because Superman has a very minimal role in the story.
Yeah,
so,
which I don't think is a big deal. I think it's not that uncommon to make an issue of Superman focus more on Lois for a change. I think that's fine. Admittedly, because of the way they've set it up with Superman in action right now, and action feels like the one where more. Joe wouldn't surprise me. It wouldn't surprise me if this was meant to be a 2-issue thing in action, later, maybe it was planned for later. But then because Tomasi needed more time, they said, "Oh, we'll put you over here and slot it in." Over. Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. Because it's not bad. I just, I wasn't. You throw Superman and Deathstroke on the cover, and it's not the story I was expecting, and it kind of drug in the middle. I started reading it last night, and I thought I was close to being done. And I looked on my iPad how much I had left. I was like, man, I still have 10 pages left. I'll finish this in the morning. So,
I thought it was fine. I liked it for what it was. I didn't love it, but it was for a Lois going to investigate things. She's looking for no Deathstroke. I mean, I like that she's looking for some other asshole first, and then it's like, oh no, Deathstroke killed him. You know what? I'll look for Deathstroke.
Because that gelled with the Deathstroke we've seen in Priest Run.
Yeah.
That he killed this massive drug dealer whose name was the Grave Digger, the Gravesman.
Yeah. That's who he kills in this one. I thought
he's the most prolific killer.
Yeah.
And so Deathstroke's like, no, I'm the most prolific killer.
Which is worth mentioning.
Takes him out.
This is set before issue 21 of Deathstroke. It tells you that at the start.
Before Defiance.
Just to make clear that this is where it is in the timeline.
Yep.
There is a scene at the start where Superman stops this Star Labs employee from blowing the place up. This disgruntled guy who's lost everything. And that doesn't come back into play in the issue, so I'm wondering if that pops up next issue in some way.
Part 2.
Yeah.
Yeah. I get... So she follows him around. She ends up in... somewhere in Eastern Europe. I can't quite remember. I want to say in Prague.
No, I think it's Prague. I think it's exactly Prague.
Is it Prague? Okay.
Yeah.
I just assumed from architecture and stuff. It's one of those old world countries. But, and she ends up kind of befriending him because, not befriending, but he saves her from this group that's trying to kill him. And she's caught in the crossfire, and he kind of gives her lessons on being a hired killer. Where he's like, yeah, no emotion goes into this. It's basically just a paycheck.
Also, I think he's kind of... he's like, oh, Big Blue showed up to save you there. Does he love you? And it's almost like he's piecing things together. He's not a dumb guy. He's on the ball.
And and she tells him, or he tells her, this won't be the last time you put yourself in trouble, because she's Lois Lane. But when you're around predators, don't run.
Yeah,
and then so she comes back to Metropolis, and Perry loves the story and gives her the weekend off. And Superman's always kind of hovering. Clark's like, "Hey, I'll come pick you up," and she's like, "No, I'll walk home. It's fine, or I'll take a cab." And Deathstroke shows up and pulls a gun while she's on the phone with Clark.
Yeah, I've got a contract. I'm sorry, it's you. And then we see the gun go off, and that's our cliffhanger for.
And you hear or you read Clark saying "run," which is just the opposite. So I don't think necessarily when he says that he had a contract, does he say that it was you, or he just says I have a contract?
No, he says something. I'm sorry, it's you, or something to that. I'll double check and see what it actually says.
Go ahead.
It was something like that. It was something along those lines. Do you know what moment I liked? I liked it when she gets in trouble in the alleyway, and she's told Superman to stay back, but he's giving her this taser, and he shows up to save her, and her narration's like, "Oh, I'm kind of pissed at her now, or I'm pissed at him now." And then she's like, "Were you following me?" And he's like, "No, of course not. But the taser I gave you like sends out a signal when it goes off, just so if you're in trouble, I can come running." And she's like, "Oh, okay, I can't be that pissed off at that, but still, leave me alone." I need to do myself. Yeah. So Deathstroke at the end, he says, "I'm afraid it's you, Lois." Yeah. That's his final line.
He goes, I have a job, but I'm afraid it's you. Now, how do we know it's not like?
That's true. Yeah.
He's there to protect her.
It could. No, I can see that. I can see because we end with the gunshot. I can totally see the next issue starting with him shooting someone over her shoulder or something like that.
Right. Because when you look like the taxi, like there's a car that's coming up, and the lights are on. And whatnot. And I don't think that's Deathstroke. So, it wouldn't surprise me. Not that it's a cheap cliffhanger, but it's a nice, it adds like a what's the word when things are the same as back symmetry. Not the same. That's a palindrome. There's some symmetry there with the issue, and Superman's gonna come in and fly and deflect the bullet. At least that's what I think is gonna happen.
It feels like that'd be too quick for him. Because he's still on the phone saying run, I'm just going to say...
Yeah.
I feel like the twist is going to be that he's actually shooting someone else. He's not shooting her. I think that's where this is going to start. Obviously, Superman's going to come running. I'm sure he'll pop up like 2 seconds later and almost throw Deathstroke through a building or something. But before he's like, calm down, Clark. It's not him.
And if we're going to get a Deathstroke fight, that should be the way to do it.
Yeah. And Lois will be like, "No, don't fight him, Superman. He's actually here to protect me."
Stop. Yeah.
Yeah, but she'll, make him all conflicting. She'll be like, "Don't go all Zack Snyder on me. Just calm down."
Yeah, please. He's already ripped him in half through a wall.
He's just holding the spleen dangling. He's like, "Lois, it's okay, honey. I dealt with it. He's done."
I did this for you. Dark multiverse indeed.
Oh, that just gave me an idea. What if one of the regular issues we get over the next month has something really dark happen, and then the twist at the end is that it's actually the Dark Multiverse we've been reading for the issue? That's not a bad idea.
Yeah.
Unless you're avoiding the event and have not been reading any of it, and you're just reading that one book.
That's a major problem. Going, wow, Superman's killing a lot of people. Zack Snyder has nothing to do with this. This is weird.
This is odd.
Or it's someone even like it's. Trying to think what's an even more surprising book than Superman.
Alfred's killing children in the Batcave.
Yeah.
He's just dragging kids in, screaming and slitting throats and whatnot.
Right.
That went into a dark place. We should move on.
Yeah.
That'll take us on to Green Arrow, number 31, Benjamin Percy writing, Otto Schmidt on art. Is this the conclusion to Hard Traveling Hero? There may be another issue, actually. It feels
I think there's another issue, but it's going to tie into... The next issue, I think, is going to tie into Metal.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, Metal's the next issue.
So this is kind of a de facto closing because the way that it ends.
Yeah.
And if that's the case, I'm cool with it because I really enjoyed this issue.
As did I. It was big fun stuff. It was, so basically, we left in this cliffhanger last issue that Ollie's in space. Hal's been knocked out, so he's not getting the shielding of the Green Lantern light anymore. But he's holding his breath and whatnot quick enough that he can hit a button to close the door. And he puts fight to this asshole, this big circle guy, 9 circle guy. Can't remember his name. If he had a name, he may not have done.
He didn't.
Yeah,
he's just a burn man because that's what he talks about. His whole entire thing is when you become a burn man, you learn to love pain. and by loving pain of yourself, you learn to love pain given to others, and it's super creepy.
Yeah.
Like,
I'm not sure how much I buy the scientific stuff here of Ollie being able to survive as long as he does in space.
no,
But all of it looks great. Otto Schmidt's, doing all these
yeah,
like motion lines. He's very expressive. There's one particular panel of him shooting like through like a bit of metal, and you just see all these shards like sort of like creating a hole to see Ollie. It looks really cool. Some good stuff there. Meanwhile, back down, I was going to say Central City, down in Star City, Dinah and Emmy are taking on the what's his face? I forget his name. The auctioneer, and the underground men. And I'm boring Matt because he's yawning away there.
no, I'm sorry. Yeah.
But yeah, so it's them taking them on. You think, and Ollie thinks they're in trouble because there's like screens in the space station saying, "Oh yeah, like this is what's happening with her," and he's worried about that. Basically, what the issue becomes though is that Oliver triggers an explosion in the station, and this space station blows up in space, and it starts all coming down into like Earth's orbit, and it's crashing towards Earth, and you get these reaction shots of everyone that we've met in this story arc. We see Superman, Wonder Woman, Flash, Batman, all looking up and seeing this explosion, and they all kind of like suit up. It's time to go and take
Really
care
cool
of this.
page.
It's fantastic stuff because everyone we've been setting up, and this is when Hal wakes up and he goes in to get Oliver, and he's like, "My ring's depleted. I can't really do anything now." And he's like, well, I've got enough willpower to help you out, and they sort of combine, try and power the ring, and yeah, it's this great moment. Oliver's beat up, and he's just like, yeah, that thing's full of willpower. The richest, he's the richest source in the universe, as he puts it.
Right.
And your mic's going.
I like. Oh.
And yeah, you see all the. You see all the rubble outside the window of the space station burning up behind this conversation through the window. It's just a really nice sort of build in terms of atmosphere.
I like the moment before the one that you're talking about, where he says that that's what you get for partnering with me, you dumbass. And there's a moment, and then they both start laughing. Like, it's just a nice moment between Lantern and Arrow. Like, you kind of tend to forget that they were buddies in another universe. Like.
Yeah.
Because John's really doubled down on the Green Lantern Flash relationship, and the Green Arrow Green Lantern, even though they were the hard traveling heroes, kind of gets forgotten about.
Yeah.
And so this was a nice reminder of that they are playful towards each other, even when times are they both almost died.
And you get this double dose of just like happiness because you see the Justice League all sort of like getting rid of all the debris, making sure all their cities are safe. And then this biggest part lands in Central City, or not Central City, Flash is somewhere else, but it lands next to Flash, somewhere in the desert. And they all like converge there, and they pick up the rubble, and they just see that Oliver and Hal are just in this one green bubble that they've managed to create, so they've kept themselves safe as they've descended into Earth, and they're okay. And as soon as you turn the page, you get this single page spread of this girl that Emmy and Dinah were trying to save, and it's just this bright background. It's just this kind of moment of happiness, like because you were worried about them. You thought, oh, maybe they might be in trouble, but no, on their own they dealt with this and they've saved the girl. So it's just this nice double dose of happiness as you get happy endings for both sides of the story. So, really happy stuff. Of course, the most interesting part might be the ending, though. Where Oliver is offered a seat at the table at the Justice League. We even see his chair, literally with the Arrow logo on it.
With the Arrow logo. Yeah.
Yeah. And he then pisses every single one of them off by saying, "You know what? Nah, I don't want to be a member of the Justice League."
Yeah, he's like, I want to do things my way, and he can't do that with the team, and I appreciate the offer. And then he's like, well, how about a compromise? And he's like, I'll be a rogue agent, which, of course, he does things his own way.
So it sounds like him. But it makes sense. It means when there's a big crisis going on, they'll call him in to help, but he's not necessarily in the Justice League book all the time or anything like that. That's fine. It works.
Although with Priest coming in, I could see him really getting used. Priest has a penchant for flawed heroes.
I think maybe what it's done is put Oliver at the head of the B team, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
He's not on the main team, but he's kind of heading up the reserves, as it were. And then the last page is just a nice little tie into the metal resistance crossover. I mean, he just says because the mountains just appear, and he's like, go and help my family protect Gotham.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So this is a nice tease building to next week's crossover issue. Cat, what are you doing? You're in my way. You jumped up, and I know you want attention, but I'm busy. All right. So that was Green Arrow. Yeah, pretty straightforward issue, but it was very fun and action-packed. It was a big culmination of everything we'd been building up to. So it didn't need as much, it didn't need as much sort of in-depth ideas going on. It was just kind of like taking everything, putting it into a big action conclusion, and everything kind of paid off that the arc's been building to. So, oh, good stuff. So that'll take us on to Green Lanterns number 31. Sam Humphries writing and Ronan Cliquet on art. So this also the conclusion to a storyline that we've this Lanterns Out of Time back in the past story that we've been dealing with, and we finally get some more present day stuff. We actually start with a little bit of that with what's his name, Tyranner, talking about how he's been the guardian of the. I shouldn't use that word because that's got a meaning in Green Lantern.
Well, no, he kind of is though. He says that he's been the watcher of this tomb. And
yeah. It
didn't end up so well for a lot of them. So, he went from being a thief to a defender, which is a nice through line here from this, from what Jessica and Simon taught him.
Yeah, Zekran bites it. Unfortunately, he also dies, leaving just the two left of the originals. But they managed to contain Volthum, and Jessica basically talks him down and says that she wants to help him. Because keep in mind, this is not Volthum from present day who's been in prison for billions of years. This is Volthum at the time who's maybe not went through all that trauma yet. He's still kind of maybe he's reachable. They can talk to him. They can, and she actually does the thing that Kilowog did with her and brings up this whole idea of looking into yourself and seeing the Emerald Sun, the source of your willpower, and showing that you're not. And they're actually going to help him. Like Jessica's talking Simon into it, and that's when the Guardians show up and. Rami and
ruin
Gantha,
everything.
Yeah, they ruin everything. They imprison him, and it's actually Volthum who sends them back home. He no, I'm going to help you just before you, while I still can. And he gets the travel lantern that's still all these rings to send them home, and that's how they get back. But yeah, so because Rami in the past is very interested in why Jessica's ring's not listening to him. He's very curious. Right. He's asking all these questions, and they try to help, but it's to no avail. And we get a nice little bit of a kind of epilogue to show that Kaja actually does survive, and she actually lives a full life. She goes back to her planet, she does what she wants, and then eventually, though, she dies, and she comes back to this sort of tomb that has all the pods.
The fact that she's a Dox, right? She's Kaja Dox. Do you think down the line she's related to Brainiac and Vril Dox? And because it says that she becomes a great scientist like Rami before her. Using the green ring.
Yeah. Maybe the entire basis of Brainiac from a technological point of view comes from that line. I don't know.
That'd be cool.
Maybe.
Yeah, I like that a lot. It was so Sam Humphries has reignited, pardon the pun, my love of the Green Lantern lore, because I took a break with Venditti. It's kind of burned out after John's, but I held on, and it went to places I didn't care about, and through this book, it can be rough at times, but the intent's always there. And, at the beginning of this, all I said, I got tired of the different color core, but the way that Humphries used it with Volthum, and we saw, because he brings up here, because he was in such a panic and trying to get back and consumed by fear, he really only tapped into one end of the spectrum. And when he taps into the opposite side of the spectrum, the love, compassion, and hope, versus fear, greed, and rage and anger, he's able to finally be at balance, and that's when Jess is able to break through to him. So I thought that was a really cool, that's what Johns had set up, and now we have someone else taking that the next step, like the Emerald Sun. That's such a cool concept.
It makes me wonder as well, so does Volthum of present day now remember this encounter? Does he remember helping them? Does Rami of present day remember meeting them in the past now? It's interesting, how? So no, I'm curious about that. But no, it's fun. And when they come back and there's Tyranneer is so like happy to see them, and it is this kind of old friend mentality. And of course, he gives Simon his ring because Simon needs a ring, and he hands it over. He passes the torch, as it were. But then he's not gone though. He's given his strength back, and he's going to go with Rami to go and search for these other 5 rings, which are still out there.
Yep.
So now Simon and Jessica both have one of the original rings, which is pretty cool.
Which stands them out against the other Earth Lanterns.
Yeah, it does. It gives them a unique bond. And then on top of that, they're told that, well, given that Earth is now the centre point, the creation of where this all happened, that needs to be protected. That's where things could go back to. So you're on your way back to Earth. So we've had our time in space, we've had our fun kind of cosmic story, but we're going back to Earth with these lanterns, which I'm glad, because I like the idea of having some lanterns on Earth, policing the Earth.
Always.
Yeah. So, no, I'm cool. This was... I really feel like Humphries' arc here really got better as it went. He's got another sort of wrap-up issue, I think, to go, but I think he's really did get better as he went. Like, as it went on, I cared more about the characters. The stories got better as we went, more or less. And I think this final one definitely was his best out of the entire run.
Yeah, I also really liked his Dr. Polaris one, with him trying to save his brother.
Yeah, that was a fun little arc, yeah.
That was a fun arc, and then the Scarecrow arc on top of it. It was the Green Lanterns doing superhero things, and that was cool. That had been missing for so long because they were just space cops, and and beyond the space cops, there was this big space opera things, and this kind of tied it back down to character.
And to be fair, we're not saying that we shouldn't have that as well. That's a part of Green Lantern that should be there, but. It just felt like the regular Earth stuff was missing. Yeah. So having the 2 books does help with that. So we can have one be that, and then the other one can go be other things. But no, I think I think Jessica especially has become one of my favorite characters. Like, she's probably my favorite Green Lantern at this point.
Wow. Right.
Probably. She's definitely ranking above Guy. I can tell you that right now.
Yes, I know. You hate Guy.
I don't hate Guy, he's just...
You hate Guy.
I don't hate him, it's not like... I mean, sure, if you told me that I had to kill one of them off, I'd pick Guy, sure. Yeah, but I don't actively want him dead.
Anytime you can, you bring up the One Punch Batman meme. So, you know, maybe you don't hate him, but you definitely strongly dislike him.
No. I'm somewhat indifferent, but I know you like him, so I play it up just a little bit, just to upset you.
See, and I can't do that with Jessica because I enjoy her too. And if we're following John's timeline, you know, there's a turn coming, and hopefully they don't do that because I can't handle that.
Yeah, but she's went through a lot of growth, and I think we very rarely have characters who suffer from anxiety in this way that she has, and she's grown from that. And I've never suffered from anxiety really myself, but from people who have, I've seen reactions on Twitter and things like that. People seem to really be responding to it and seeing kind of reflections of their own experiences, and that's really cool. So.
And I like how it's always there for her. She doesn't have the yellow weakness. She has her own personal weakness, and with Simon, it's there too because it's a self-doubt. And how good is willpower when you're constantly doubting yourself? But here, you know, he's able to overcome that, and even without rings, you know, kind of to save the day. So they all choose him because of that. It's really cool. I'm going to miss Humphries. I mean, it's cool that he gets to go into Nightwing, and now Seeley gets to come to Green Lanterns, and it's, you know, but I'll miss both of them because even on Nightwing this week, I love his take. Like, he's been writing Nightwing for the good part of 3-4 years through Grayson and now Nightwing, and I'll miss him.
But I think, you know, at the same time, I'm actually kind of interested in seeing what each of those guys do with these books the other way around. Like, you know, the fresh takes, and does Lanterns have a slightly different tone? Does Nightwing have a more adventurous tone because it's him now instead of Seeley?
Right. Well, and we know that Seeley has a knack for big groups of characters because he introduced the runoffs in Nightwing. Or reintroduced him, however you want to think about that. So him kind of maybe playing with these characters that Humphrey set in with her sister and Simon's family, and then Rami and Tyranir, however you pronounce it. You know,
Tyranir. This is the problem with comics. You never get to hear someone say it out loud.
Yeah.
But so now, and obviously he's left Volthoom out there to be used if Seeley's going to want to do that. But But no, so we got another one of his issues left. I think it's just one left, and then we're on to Seeley. So that has been Green Lanterns by Humphries. All right, that'll take us on to Batwoman number 7. Marguerite Bennett writing and Fernando Blanco or Blanco on art. This was start of a new arc because obviously we had issue 6 was the sort of the standalone kind of Days of Future Past-esque look at the future that we're going to get to later on.
Yeah.
Possibly in Detective. Whereas this was kind of, okay, we're back to the sort of main threads, but we're kind of moved along a little bit. And we have this story of Batwoman in the Sahara Desert, chasing down, because they set up that the time has passed, and we had Knife, and then we had like this series of other assassins and like people working for the Many Arms of Death.
Kind of would have liked to see those stories.
Yeah, like, they sound interesting. Obviously, she's chasing down the Needle, who at the end of the story, spoilers, turns out to be Scarecrow, which is actually kind of cool.
I wish they hadn't put Scarecrow on the cover.
Yeah, no, I agree. Even though I like the cover a lot, I wish it wasn't.
The cover looks cool. To have them, we've been chasing Needle, and then at the end, when you get to it, and Needle's Scarecrow, and it'll be like, what? This is cool.
That should have been the cover for the next issue, and it wasn't. It shouldn't have been revealed to us until after this one. I agree with that. So that is a criticism. I will say I like this issue quite a bit. I probably think it's a little bit weaker than a few of the recent ones, but that's maybe more of a testament to the quality I think the books had, where I've been really, really loving the issues. And in this one I liked quite a bit, but I wasn't as in love with it.
The whole thing with the foxes and the thorns, I thought made for some good imagery, and they have red hair, Kate has red hair, and it's kinda, I feel like that's gonna be Sophia's motivation.
Yeah,
why she flipped.
Yeah, because it talks about how like the fox goes through the rose and it gets like an infection and then it spreads disease, and it's like the idea that Kate showed up to the island and she spread like the stuff that changed the island and everything became different because of her. I like to talk about the Sahara Desert, and like I was like, oh, this is Sahara Desert's bigger than the whole of Europe. I did not know that. That's an interesting fact. That's pretty cool.
World's largest. Well, not world's largest desert, because Antarctica. I mean, all to be a desert, you have to do is get low rainfall or zero rainfall.
That's true. That's funny. Yeah. I would never have thought of Antarctica being a desert, but I guess kind of works. Yeah.
Yeah. So but yeah, the Sahara is like the largest. Like, I'm trying to find the right like desert. Like when you think of a desert and sand dunes, it is the Sahara.
Yeah. Joe, what's funny is, it's just this comparison thing that is hurting it here a little bit, is I think the art's actually very good. It just happens to be the weakest that the book's had.
It's not, what's his name? Epting.
Yeah, that first arc was gorgeous. And then that issue with the boat, and like that was the really romantic feeling issue. That had a really unique style. And then the last one had that futuristic thing going for it. So this one, just by default, even though there's some great stuff in it, because in the desert, and then there's that flashback with her sister with the snow. There's some great stuff. Do you know what I liked about the ending of this, when we find out she finds this what might be an oasis and she drinks from it, and I'm like, is that an oasis, or is this just the Scarecrow fear gas like giving her hallucinations? Because it was making me think that maybe some of the flashbacks, because that flashback with her sister, you see the bullet hole in her head at the end and the blood drips down. I was thinking, is the Scarecrow gas already like she's thinking about these memories, and the Scarecrow gas is actually already like affecting her thoughts.
And she had talked about that oasis wasn't what it appeared to be.
Yeah.
So I'm sure that'll come into play later. I'm a sucker for a good Scarecrow story. Being that today is Batman Day, my favorite Batman story is called Absolute Terror. It involves Scarecrow deciding he can work his craft without the fear toxin, and he basically cripples Gotham for a period because he becomes like a serial killer and is plucking victims at random, and everyone's afraid to go outside, and he's just taking in all this fear, and it's a really cool story. It comes from Detective Comics. I think it's 835. If you're interested, starts there. So I think it's 835, 836. But yeah, so I'm a sucker for a good Scarecrow story, so I'm glad that he turned up.
Yeah.
I wish it had been more of a surprise.
Yeah, it looks cool at the end though, because it's like in her weird vision of what's going on, and she feels she's drowning, and Scarecrow's got like octopus tentacles.
Yeah.
like behind her. It's pretty cool stuff. It's very nightmarish, and I think the whole issue has that feeling to it where as she's walking through the desert, she's getting more delirious, and it's almost like, is the scarecrow grass involved yet, or is this just her going nuts because she's out in the desert and she's not finding anything? Like, is the heat getting to her, kind of thing? So, it's playing with those ideas. So Batwoman continues to be really good stuff. Even if this, like, because it's that nightmare thing, it almost doesn't feel as tightly written as the previous issues, because it is, but it's intentionally kind of wacky in the way it follows on from each other. And then the art, just by comparison to the previous artist, feels a little bit of a step down, even though it's still actually quite good. So it has that going against it, but it's actually still a really good issue, and I'm really curious as to where they go with the Scarecrow stuff. So cool. That'll take us on to Super Sons number 8, Peter J. Tomasi. Oh, there he is. He's writing something. He's not completely lost in the void. And Jorge Jimenez on art, who, by the way, I don't think he's missed an issue of this yet.
No.
So, respect to him. I like the consistency. So, despite the fact that the last 2 issues kind of felt like a 2-parter, it was actually parts 1 and 2 of this arc. I like the title, Planet of the Capes. They're on this other planet. And the next one's called War for the Planet of the Capes, which also I like. I like this referencing to the Apes movies. It's good stuff. So they got pulled into this dimension at the sort of end of the last issue, start of this one, and they don't know why they're there. They meet these 2 girls who have superpowers to some extent, and this world seems barren. They find out that the planet's actually this big creature who took over this world. They're on another planet of some kind, and they're not sure why they're there. But the wizard guy who made the clay monsters, he's apparently someone here who was a good guy, and they're not sure if he's like an alternate version of him, or if it's the good guy in their regular world that went bad. Yeah. It's setting up all these things, and so I don't know. What do you think of this one?
It was good. I enjoyed the last issues more. I wasn't expecting this to go to the places it did, and I didn't think it was bad. I just didn't enjoy it as much as I should have, because it got the Cracklow stuff was fun, but this whole World Eater thing, I can't remember its name off the top of my head.
Oh, I've got it. Admittedly, my pronunciation here might be complete nonsense, but Gardus. I'm assuming the Y at the start is silent.
No, it's Yggardus, because it's a lot like Yggdrasil, which is the world tree from Norse mythology. And basically, they come out and say that it's there to consume this clay from this world that they had fought in the previous 2 issues. You know, I don't know how this is the planet of the Capes. Like, is it because of the clay at the end? Is it because it was this big heroic planet? But if that's the case, how is it different than Earth that has a lot of heroes?
Yeah. Like, if this was compared to our regular real Earth, then sure, I'd get the name. Maybe we just don't know yet. Maybe we'll get more next issue. I will say the art. I mean, obviously, Jimenez is great, and it's been great there. I think in this issue in particular, though, there's some really fantastic layouts. Whenever they were complaining, not complaining, explaining stuff, like the girls were saying, explaining, I love that panel of the World Eater, actually coming towards the planet. It's actually
and smashing into it.
Yeah, and the layouts there are really good. The page before that's the double page layout, where it's kind of like one of the girls has an afro, and all the panels are coming out of the afro. It's a really weird, wacky layout, but it's cool. It's kind of like this is all coming out of her head, and it's explaining the story. So I really enjoyed the book from a sort of layout and sort of sequencing point of view. It was really telling the story in a fun, creative way, which I thought was pretty cool. So great art. Obviously the banter with Robin and Superboy's always great. At the end of the book, of course, they shot with all their clay heroes, the World Eaters built, and he's coming for them. But no, it was good stuff.
Yeah.
There you go. It's short and sweet. Which leads us on to the final book of the week, which is just me in this case because Connor's not here, because Matt's not been reading this, and that is Aquaman number 28. Dan Abnett writing, Sejic on art. I'm not saying his first name because I can't do it. So, obviously this has been a really strong arc since it started in issue 25. This issue basically breaks down into 3 plot points, and it's, on the one hand, you've got Aquaman and Dolphin dealing with this henchman from the criminal kingpin in the Ninth Trade, and I really like this stuff because at the end of it all, like when Dolphin sort of shows up, because Aquaman's getting beat, he's getting his ass whipped, and Dolphin shows up and saves him after he's told her to leave, and he's kind of pissed that she didn't listen to him. But afterwards, like, they have this really sweet moment where he's like, I know why you're showing me all this stuff. You think because I'm the king, because I'm Aquaman, that I can do something about it. But because I've seen all this suffering and I've seen all these people, that I can do something. But you know what? I'm a vigilante now. I do one by one. It wasn't just King, Wrath, that got rid of me as king. It dethroned me. It was Atlantis that chose as a whole. Like, people were against me. Like, I can't do this. Like, whatever you think I can do, I'm not strong enough to do it. And obviously she can't speak. And there's this really sweet moment, which, again, really lets the art shine, because she just kind of, like, gives them this kind of, like, I'm not trying to describe it, just this kind of little, shy little smirk that says, yeah, you can. You're doubting yourself, but you can. I know you can. I believe in you. But she does that without saying a single word. It's all in the expression. And it makes for a really sweet little moment that I really, really enjoyed. And then elsewhere, Volko's with Undine, who's the one from the, what do you call them, the sisters of Atlantis. I can't remember their name. The Sisterhood.
From Titans. No? Oh, no.
No.
You're talking about, like, the Widows.
The Widows,
yeah.
So she's like the agent from them who's trying to help Volko, because they actually want rid of Wrath as well. And they're sneaking into, like, the pits to try and, like, find the magic that can take down this big thorn barrier that's keeping people out of the city. And there's no regular guards down here, but the guards of the dead are down here. This is where, like, spirits of past Atlantean warriors govern this place. And they are deadly. But, and she gets all worried, she's, like, terrified, but we find that it almost plays, like, a really good humour bit where Volko, you can actually defeat these enemies if you know their name. If you speak their name, they have no power. So basically, all these ghosts of Atlantis keep showing up, and he's like, I know my Atlantis history, I know who they all are, and he's just naming them left and right. And he's just,
like,
it's a really fun scene, because he's just walking through, and every time it cuts back to them, he's just like, and she's still kind of worried. She's got her sword out, and he's like, just put the sword away. I know my history. And then she's like, yeah, but what if we get to one that you can't recognize? Like, no, trust me. And then, but as they keep getting deeper and deeper to where they're going, it becomes apparent that the ghosts are getting older and older, and some of them are like, they're getting more deteriorated. And it's like, well, if we get to one that's just got a skeleton, how are you going to recognise them? And then they go through a door, and it's one that's got like half of his face bitten off, and you can't see his face. It's like, oh, I see your point. Run, and that's kind of our cliffhanger for the plot. That's pretty fun. Yeah, it was good stuff. And then Wrath is pissed because Mira's got Tempest on the outskirts, and he, even though he swore not to use the magic, he knows it's grave dangers, and they need to get to Aquaman, so he's trying to break down the barrier. And Wrath knows that there's a small chance that because he's good with his magic, he might be able to do it. So they send the army after them, and that's still a big cliffhanger. So no, I had a really fun time with this book. It's continuing everything I liked about this arc. It's building the connection with Dolphin. Tempest being involved, making him feel like he's part of the Aqua family again is really cool. And like I say, all the Volko stuff with the ghost was good fun. And I don't think I have to scream and shout and dance about Sejic's art more than I have before. But
no. So I looked up while you were talking about this.
I
looked up how to pronounce his name.
I'll go for it.
So it's Stjepan Sejic.
Stjepan?
Yeah, go to his Twitter. He has it so you can pronounce it.
Oh, cool.
It's quite funny.
Stjepan Sejic.
Yeah, no J. The J's soft. So it's Sejic. Sejic.
This is like tinning where I like the way I say it already.
So just do it, but I just wanted to put it effort. In case that he gets it, I want to show that we did put in the effort.
Okay. Sejic. It's Sejic. Okay.
Sejic.
Yeah. Sejic. It's like saying say it, just with the C sound at the end. Sejic, you prick. Not him, I'm saying say it. Yeah, never mind.
I know, but it rhymes. It's funny.
Yeah, it's good stuff. But no, Aquaman's been great since issue 25. Like, if you ever decide to go back and read this, when it's some trades later on, Matt, this is, I think you'll find a lot to like in this arc. It's really, really good.
If I had more time, it would be on there, just because again, art is fantastic.
Of course, and obviously, since it's went monthly as well, I feel like the pacing is really good. It's like because he's only writing one book per month, one issue per month. I feel like Abnett's doing a better job, and it's feeling a lot more consistent. So, no, I'm digging. I'm really glad I caught up with Aquaman. I'm glad I jumped back in.
Good.
So, it's good stuff. So that was the last book. So before we get onto our picks of the week and all that, Matt had a final point he wanted to make about the Red Death that he looked up.
Yeah. So there was something that wasn't sitting with me from Earth 52, being the continuity wonk that I am. And so as we were going, I was multitasking, and I pulled up the list that Morrison had of the different Earths. But there was no Earth 52.
Oh my.
So, yeah. So as I'm doing this, it's pointed out that there's a dash. And anytime that you bring up one of the multiverse Earths, there's no dash. Meaning that Earth that we see in the Red Death is Earth -52. So, and hence putting it in the Dark Multiverse.
So you get -1 through 52 instead of...
Exactly. So, being that that's negative Earth 52, and going with everything that Pete had set up about these are the fallout and they're not meant to last, being that they're dark because there's infinite possibilities from bad decisions.
So weirdly, I never got it from that reason, but I was kind of right when I said that it came from Earth 52. It's like the negative version of it. Yeah, cool.
Basically.
Fantastic.
So, that helped my understanding of what's going on, and I'm not so, like, it doesn't fit into what I need it to fit in with. That said, there's still things in there that drove me a little nuts, but I'm not as down on it as I was at the start. So, look at that.
That's cool. That's fantastic, Matt. All right, there you go. We've ended. But even something Matt didn't like at the start, he's been uplifted by the end of the show. How good is that? So best stuff of the week. That's what we always do at the end of the show. We pick our best panel, art, cover, and obviously our top 5 books of the week. So, best panel is what we usually start with. And Matt, you made the mistake of telling me you had yours all picked out before the start. So I'm going to go to you first because you can just tell me.
So mine's a bit of a cheat, which we've been known to do, but it's hard to pick just one. But it's from Green Arrow, and it's when the Justice League looks up and they see that the satellite has exploded, and they all go to respond. And what's cool is that in the Flashes and in Batman's, you see it explode in the skyline. And with Superman and Wonder Woman, you don't see it. They're just reacting to it. Because to me, they're the more of the reactionary heroes, you know? So they see it and they go. But it's really cool how they broke it down.
Do you know how I read that? Because I know what you're talking about. Because it's actually Superman first, then Wonder Woman. And then I don't remember which way around the last two are, but it's those two first.
Superman, or Flash and then Batman.
Right. But as you say, like, the first two don't see... Yeah, you don't actually see it in the panels, you just see them looking up. And then it's when you get to the Flash and Batman, you actually see the explosion in the sky. I think the way... For me, that was... Maybe it was taken into account who was where, and maybe it does, as you say, like, they're more reactionary. But the way I thought that was chosen for me was that it was more of a sequence thing. Like, it's like you see them looking up, but you don't know quite what yet. And it's like as you go down the page, it reveals what they're looking at. You know, I thought it was more like a sort of sequential thing like that. But I mean, your read's fine too. Like, but no, that's a fair pick. As for my panel, I'm looking through Red Death, right, because I feel like there's a lot of things in here that I would want to pick. There's a lot of great stuff. I mentioned that double page spread a lot with where they merge, get into the light, and it's that double page thing with all the it's actually double page, single page, but straight after double page, with all the panels going down the angle. However, I think I actually have to go with Batman, because I think the satisfaction of Kite Man smugly saying Kite Man, hell, and as much as he doesn't get to finish, the satisfaction of him, you know, letting Riddler know that he screwed him over is just too much of an impact on me not to love. Yeah. So in terms of art, it's the guy smirking, but in terms of the emotional impact of the panel, it's top stuff. So I'm going with that.
Fair enough.
So okay, cover. Best cover of the week. I'll go first. Red Death's okay. I will say that I like the variant for Red Death a little bit more. Obviously, there's actually a lot of good covers this week. Aquaman's quite good. Nightwing's good. Green Arrow's good. Batman's obviously got the Janin art. I am, however, going to have to go with Batwoman for that big, creepy scarecrow face with her like down in the bottom, and it's like kind of this it's the most standout image there when I'm looking at all these covers together. What about
Fair
you,
enough.
Matt?
So mine is the Sejic Nightwing. It's so metal, and I thought it was a Ribbit cover, and I love Ribbit's Thor stuff, and it's very reminiscent. Like you have Dick at the forefront, just looking like a badass. So and the colors just they match everything. They're cold like the issue. So
Yeah, can't argue too much with that. So I guess that takes us on to art, best art of the week, and we always say this in week 3 because the artists are really stacked.
yep,
We have Giandomenico, we have Schmidt, we have Sejic, we have Janin.
yeah.
This is a really really busy week for great art, and we have a Jimenez. I didn't even mention him. So
Yeah.
who are you picking?
So mine's Janin for Batman. It was for the story that it told. It had some pretty cool blockbuster moments without being over the top, like that double page spread of them all on the gliders. That's super cool. And then, like you said, the emotional impact it hits, not just with the Kite Man, hell yeah, but Joker. Like when you open that page and it's Joker just staring at you, and then that progression of his knock knock joke, like it's fantastic.
Yeah, I'm picking Batman as well. I'll add on to all those moments. Again, Catwoman in that old outfit's pretty badass, and
Yep.
just again like Batman getting worried as she's falling, and you used to see her like falling through the sky, and it just like every single beat just played is as if it's like a blockbuster movie in the best possible way. So, yeah, Batman. So top fives of the week. This should be interesting given the difference in opinions in some books. Matt, what was your top 5 books of the week?
So my top 5. Number 1's going to be Green Arrow. I really enjoyed this capper on this Hard Traveling Heroes. Yeah. Number 2 is Nightwing. Number 3 is actually number 2 is Batman. Number 3 is Nightwing, and then my iPad froze. And then Super Sons and Green Lanterns and Super Sons. So there's my
Cool.
top 5.
Oh, this is a hard week.
It is.
Honestly, I like. Sometimes we talk about how sometimes nothing stands out, and I feel like the problem here is that there's a few things standing out as possible number ones.
Yep.
I'm going to have to go with Red Death at number 1. I think
I'm not surprised.
for the ideas that it's poking at, for some of the moments it gives us, I think I have to go with it. Batman at number 2. And then Batman at number 2. I think Aquaman at number 3. And then Green Lanterns, then Nightwing. Is that 5? I think that's 5.
Yeah. It's a pretty solid week for comics. Like there wasn't.
Yeah.
Yeah. Outside of Red Death, there wasn't anything that I was just like, And then I even, through talking about it, was able to rectify that.
There wasn't a single one that I didn't like, really. I guess the weakest would maybe be Superman, but even that, I still like. Is a fill-in issue. I still dug it.
Yeah, because we all know I usually say Superman for last unless something big was going on, like Reborn.
Yeah.
I would start my Wednesday mornings with Reborn, but this time it was the Red Death because that's the de facto big event. But yeah, I saved Superman for last, and I wish I hadn't because everything else just was at a higher level this week.
But no, that's our top picks of the week, which leaves me to tell you what is coming next week on week 4. Week 4 was really kind of dry last month. Part of that was because Wonder Woman was pushed, this month, a little bit healthier. So we have the next one shot, which is Batman the Murder Machine number 1, which is the cyborg fusion Batman story that we'll be getting. I'm not inherently as interested in that as a Flash fusion story, but we'll see what they do with it. It could be good stuff.
Let's see who's writing that one. Let me look.
That's a good question. Who is it? The writer of the Flash? Not Flash. Cyborg.
Yeah, Frank Thierry. Artist Riccardo Federici. Cover art by Jason Fabik. So.
We'll see. I've no idea what to expect from that one, but we'll figure it out. And also, of course, we have the next to the crossover, which is Suicide Squad. It is not number 6. There's no way it's number. I'm assuming it's 26, and I've missed out the 2.
It's 26
on my list. That's
you
good.
missed that keystroke.
Now that's fair enough. Obviously, that's not one we normally cover, but it's part of the crossover, so we will be next week. And then top of that, we have Action Comics 988. That's a weird way to say that. My God, I'm having a weird
988.
988. That's the one. Which is the next part of the Oz Effect.
Oz Effect Part 2.
There you go. You're excited. We have Batgirl number 15. We have Detective Comics 965, which is the start of the Lonely Place of Living. So that should be
the
big.
Other one. Stoked.
Flash number 31. Hal Jordan, the Green Lantern Corps number 29. Wonder Woman number 31. And then we also have the final issue of Batman Shadow at number 6. So yeah, it's a pretty decent looking week next week now.
And just so you know, Pete, there's a jock variant of Batman Shadow out there for next week.
Ooh, air.
Be on the lookout for that one.
Ooh, air indeed. So there you go. That's what's coming next week. So that kind of wraps up this week's show. Just a little tidbit so it doesn't shock you when it happens. There's a good chance that when we get to week 2 next month, we might cut a few books for time because week 2s are ballooning in size. Yep. So it's not that we're stopping reading things so much. It's just that we'll decide, based on what we read, if a couple of them aren't worth talking about, we'll cut them for time. So just so it doesn't shock you when it happens.
We kind of found we enjoy talking about stuff more than just running down. This is what happened.
Oh,
so
yeah.
Usually when it's one or two people, so like Hal and Pals, that last issue is pretty good, but up to that, me and Connor are just kind of it's good, but we don't have anything else to bring to it. So it's kind of well, we can use that time to talk about, with everything else we have going on. So Metal, Oz Effect, all this other stuff that we had out there in week 2.
Those end up taking a lot more time. And so basically, it's not so much that we're cutting anything permanently. There's a sort of thing where it could rotate back in if it's got a big issue that we want to talk about. One thing that Connor suggested is that if we still want to talk about the smaller things, or if one of us still wants to talk, we can still do a little thing for Patreon. Although, if we do that, it wouldn't be behind a paywall, because we don't want to put things that are regular DC books behind paywalls, but that's just if people
I
actually...
agree with that.
If people want to actually, for example, in week 2, it'll probably mean Birds of Prey and Superwoman might get dropped in terms of the show. If people still want to hear my thoughts on them, if I'm the only one still reading them, I'll make a quick video and talk about them. I'm cool with that.
Yeah, and I kind of want to just put up stuff that's DC. I don't want to go outside of because it's comic from the multiverse. But
sure, yeah.
Stuff that we read that we could just be hey guys, check this out if you like, whatever. And I feel like Birds of Prey, because that's how you got me to read Birds of Prey and Superwoman again. So those are books that I just would have forgotten about.
It's just because part of it's just looking ahead, because the rest of the weeks don't actually get affected by this right now. But looking ahead at November and December, there's so many books being added between the Dark Matter books, between some of the Prestige books that are going to be hitting. Some of those weeks are going to build into the size of week 2 and beyond, and because of that, we have to sort of look at it and go, okay, there's only so much we can read in a week, and there's only so much time we can spend talking about them. So we have to kind of say there's a hard limit on how many we will discuss and sort of go from there. But don't panic. It doesn't mean that the stuff that we don't talk about one month we won't talk about the next month, and vice versa. And obviously there's main books that we're never going to not talk about. So
and if you guys do want to hear some of the stuff, hit us up on Twitter. I'm more than happy to talk about books that we don't cover that I'm still going to read. So, we're always there for that. Because, Superwoman last week, I would have talked about on Twitter had I not had on the show because of the fallout from the Citadel stuff.
It's just a simple case. I mean, we might briefly mention, we like this week's issue, go check it out. But, last week's issue hit 3 hours, which is a bit more than maybe we want to be hitting.
And when we
2 or so is kind of what we want.
There's nothing that we could have really cut for time, because the first chunk of that show was a show in and of itself.
Oh yeah,
those first 4 issues, just Metal. And
it was basically the combination of Metal being 40 minutes, which is seemingly normal for event books. Mr. Oz Part 1, which also had the Fox News controversy, which made that bigger, and then the tie-in crossover book was obviously big as well. So, we don't want to take time from any discussions, but obviously there's a few where, they're quite short anyway. We kind of just repeat what's in the book and say we liked it or not, and So some of those smaller ones might get the shaft because of it. Again, right now that's only really week 2. You don't have to worry about it in any of the other weeks right now. But it's just when things balloon up a little bit and there's more books coming out, we're going to have to make some choices based on what's more interesting to talk about. So
that said, with what Yang has said over the course of this week on Twitter with New Superman, I feel like it shows like us.
New Superman was not even considered for being one of the cut ones for me.
No.
I was adamant about that.
But I feel like it shows like us that had taken time for a smaller book like New Superman.
Oh, sure.
Because he had said like it was only supposed to be 18 issues long.
That's a good point to bring up, actually.
Because fans have come out and whatnot, and had love for these new characters he's created, DC is giving him a longer run. Who knows? That could be another 6 issues. It could be another 12. But I feel it's because of fans like us and you listening, watching, like that happens, and that's why I love comics.
Which is great because that book has become something special, and I'm glad it's being rewarded for what it is.
Oh yeah, and New Superman was never on the chopping block. Even we were going to talk about that up until its last issue, no matter what, because it's fantastic. But I just wanted to throw that in there. I know we're not supposed to introduce new things, but while we were talking about stuff like that, so search out those smaller books.
Oh sure,
even if your favorite show, podcast, whatever doesn't talk about them, take a chance every once in a while.
Absolutely, I fully agree with that sentiment. So. It'll just be case by case basis. There's no strict way, and like I say, it's only when we're starting to hit more than 10 books in a week that we'll start. Okay, we need to cut a couple from the discussion, just for time, and so we can discuss what we want to discuss. But there we go. So we'll be back next week with those books that we mentioned are coming out, so you can look forward to that. Connor will be back, and of course Connor still has his Connor's Corner issue of Red Hood to do for the month, so you can expect that next week. We will not let him forget.
That dude has been putting that off. I say we make him hit him up on Twitter. Tell him he owes you 2. Especially if you paid for that. I would, and usually I'm the one trying to cut Connor some slack, but that dude's been pushing it, and if you pay for it, then you should pay it off. That's all I'm saying.
To be fair, he only owes him the 1 for the month so far. If he goes past next week, then he owes 2.
Yeah.
And there should be a penalty as well. There should be a penalty. If he has to push one and there's 2 in 1 month, he should do a bonus one as a punishment for pushing it so long.
I agree.
Well, I think he will. I think he'll do it next week. I'm sure he will. But
good.
So that's coming. So and remember, actually, the monthly bonus episode for patrons, if you're in the $5 tier up, is out. Me and Connor talked about Justice, Alex Ross, Jim Kruger. We mentioned it last week, but it's worth throwing out there. If you want to go check that out. Next month's for October is going to be the Long Halloween, so good stuff. So that has been this episode. This is episode 70 of Comics from the Multiverse.
Oh, look at that!
Exciting. We're getting up there on the numbers, so thank you very much for watching and or listening. We always appreciate it. Get us on Twitter at DC Comics Podcast if you want to talk to us on there. If you want to get us individually, Matt, where are you on Twitter?
I'm at Matt of Steel 57.
Okay, I'm at Wibble89 if you want to find me on there. Subscribe, all that stuff. Let us know what you thought of the books, either on Twitter, comments below on YouTube or elsewhere. Give us a review on iTunes or your podcast app of choice or wherever. It helps us out. All of it helps us out. Share us with your comic book loving friends, because why not? We're pleasant people most of the time, kind of. Maybe not Connor, but notice how pleasant this episode was without him. That's why I point that out. It was nice for me and Matt to get some bonding time.
A little bit, yeah.
I had to do an episode with just Connor a few weeks ago, and I'm always a little bit traumatized after one of those. But hey ho, here we are. I know he gets all the shit when he's not here. It's just so easy.
He does.
Gets a lot of shit when he's here as well, to be fair. But
yeah.
So there you go. That is all the housekeeping, all the plugging, all the Twitters and whatnot at the end. So thank you very much for watching or listening. Once again, we always appreciate it. Keep reading DC comic books, and always remember, never get lost in the Speed Force.
Connor can exist.